Hey everyone, welcome back to iHeart Sports. I'm Alex Hart. Here today I want to discuss the four North American sports leagues, their plans for 2020, July, beginning of August, starting up their leagues. We have one league that has already started up, three more that have their plans pretty much set in stone, ready to open up. And really I just want to go over their plans and then really discuss which ones I think are the best chance to have zero issues, and which ones kind of stipulate that there probably are going to be issues, potentially ones that do not allow that for them to finish the season. I'm going to kick things off by talking about the MLS, considering this league has already started their plan to return to play. They're actually playing games, and they're doing it in a different kind of style than the other ones. For them, they decided to do kind of like a FIFA World Cup style tournament with a group stage and then knockout stages after that. Of the 26 MLS teams, 24 are in the tournament. 2 teams didn't make it to the tournament due to COVID-related issues, one team being Nashville and the other team being Dallas. Now, the plan for the MLS is the group stage matches are going to count towards the regular season, and then once this tournament is over, they're going to kick off and go into the regular season. The winner of this tournament is going to compete in the CONCACAF, probably pronouncing that a little wrong, but in that tournament represent the MLS as a whole. So this tournament kicked off a couple days ago. They're going right now. Seems to be no issues, and the games are starting to be played. It is being played in the ESPN Worldwide Sports Complex in Disney. I think it's in basically the same area as where the NBA plans to play, so potentially could pose some risk. As we probably all are quite aware, Florida is really starting to take off in their pandemic numbers, so unless things start to look improved, then we're very likely looking at additional risk for the MLS compared to maybe the other leagues. The next league that is scheduled to start off is the MLB. If you have been following my countdown videos to this, we're about 12 days away right now. And there's been quite a few players that have tested positive for the virus, quite a few players that have opted out of the season because they're given the option, they're allowed to opt out, and there isn't a penalty other than they're not going to be making their money, really. More details, if you want more details, just check out my MLB video startup. It's basically a 60-game season. One major difference that they're having as opposed to some of the other leagues is they're going to be traveling from home team to home team. Every team's playing in their regular stadium, so a lot of expected travel, which is quite different from the NBA, the NHL, and the MLS has even kind of condensed the traveling. MLB, however, has kind of addressed this situation in that the travel is going to be in local areas. So like the East is going to stay around the East, the West is going to be in the West, Central in the Central. So that's how they're addressing it. For this, I think it's really high risk. It's probably one of the highest risk leagues to get started with their scenario. Just the fact of traveling from 30 different cities with all these different contact points while going along with travel, they're going to have to be very strict to be able to keep this one under control. The plans for the NBA, like I just said, they're planning to go to Orlando, Florida. Disneyland is where they're going to build a bubble that's supposed to keep the players away from the general public, away from the general public being able to infect them. 22 of the 31 teams have been invited. They're going to play 8 regular season games where supposed to be against teams from the other conference or teams that are very unlikely to meet up in the playoffs. I'm not quite sure, but I assume they're going to cut this down to 16 after the 8 games. So that could send some teams home early. And then after that, they're just going to play the regular 4 rounds of best of 7. So one thing of note, the teams that are playing, they're all starting to arrive at the hub right now. The plan for teams to start arriving in the hub in Disney is starting on Tuesday. The first wave of teams are going to be allowed in, and then another set of the next day. And so over a course of 3 days, they're all going to eventually get into this hub, and we're going to start seeing warm-ups. We're going to start seeing a little bit of the pre-regular season games, and then right into the regular season playoffs. So that's the plan for the NBA. Lastly, the NHL, who I believe has the least amount of risk getting this started. However, still risk. There's still lots of risk going on around with the pandemic. However, the NHL is a little bit different in that they have 2 hub cities. They're strictly going to have a playoff scenario where the West Coast cities are going to be playing in Edmonton and the East Coast cities are going to be playing in Toronto. So they're going to be playing in Canada, which, comparing to the other leagues of the MLB traveling all over, the MLS and the NBA are playing in Florida, which has a lot more cases going on than up in Canada. There's a little bit less risk of that the NHL might have as opposed to those teams that are traveling and playing in Florida. The plan for the NHL is they're doing play-in games where the bottom 16 teams will have a best of 5 to reseed to play the top 8 teams into the regular playoff format. So there's 24 teams. Potentially, since the schedule is actually already out, potentially teams could be done the whole thing within 4 days. So they'll get there and then they'll train in that. But once the schedule starts, which is on August 1st, they could play for 4 days and be going home. So I think that's pretty good. They're going to quickly narrow down the teams that are involved in the exposures that the NHL has. I believe they have the clear best chance to have a complete resolution to their season. However, I do quite strongly believe that all of the leagues are going to have a chance to get their seasons done because they have plans for if the virus starts showing up around. So that basically just is a quick explanation of what the 4 North American leagues have decided to do with the 2020 pandemic and restarting their seasons. If you have any questions or concerns, let me know about that. If you found this very informative or filled in something of a gap that you weren't sure what was going on, I would appreciate you to drop a like, drop a subscribe. We're going to be following all these events as they unfold over the next couple months. Thanks for watching. Catch you again soon.